of the most important aspects I've learned about the One Piece manga as a whole has to do with devil fruits, and we know that devil fruits as a whole are very important aspects to the One Piece overall story plot. Now, the creativity of a devil fruit user is actually what defines the strength of a devil fruit, and we've clearly seen this over the course of the story. We've seen that characters who were deemed to have weaker devil fruits have actually been able to take down characters who were deemed to have stronger devil fruits. An example of this would be Luffy, who was able to take down Crocodile. Another example would still be Luffy, who was able to take down Enel. Now, we've also seen that classes of devil fruits do not matter. In fact, if the devil fruit user is not as creative as he's supposed to, he'll always fall short when fighting devil fruit users who are deemed to have devil fruit abilities weaker than his. An example of this would of course be Caribou. If you bring Caribou to fight Law or Kid, Caribou would lose 10 out of 10 times simply because Law and Kid have better mastery over the devil fruit, and Law and Kid have more battle experience utilizing their devil fruit as compared to Caribou. So we've clearly seen that Oda has utilized this throughout the story pretty much consistently, and that's pretty much what he used in this chapter. Okay, Minasan, hope you guys have been doing well. So as usual, make yourselves comfortable, grab a cup of coffee as I dissect the chapter piece by piece. This week we got a double color spread commemorating the 25th anniversary of the manga. This is a very insane feat as many manga do not go past the 10-year serialization mark. Mangas such as Doriko and recently Dr. Stone did not go past the 10-year mark, so incredible feats there again by Oda. So all I can say is good luck to Oda for more manga, more One Piece, and of course a very befitting end to his schedule. So this chapter began where we ended last week, and my oh my were we spot on with our analysis of Luffy's Devil Fruit awakening. Kaido clearly states that Luffy's awakening displays abilities of both paramecia and zoan awakenings. Clearly what Kaido is talking about here is the fact that Luffy was able to influence the soil, deflecting a borrowed bread back at himself by causing the soil to gain some sort of rubber-like properties. But then again, the transformation, that is the transformation into the sun god Nika persona, seems more or less like that of an awakened zoan, so this intrigued Kaido a little bit. Kaido then proceeded to attack Luffy in a combo move we've seen before, which usually ended with him blasting off Luffy with the borrowed breath, but then Luffy, being smart enough to having witnessed this from experience, jokingly entered into Kaido's body, and here is where the battle became a little bit complicated for Kaido because Luffy inflated Kaido's body from within, and the remarks Kaido made about this were quite intriguing because he did not understand how Luffy's body is able to have an influence over his body. Let's not forget that Kaido is also a devil fruit user and Luffy is also a devil fruit user, so it is very difficult to understand how one devil fruit user can actually influence the body of another, especially from within. And what ensued actually justified Kaido's worries because Luffy seemed to actually imbue Kaido's body with rubber-like properties, which explains why he was able to come out of Kaido's eyes. This is very different from what we've seen so far in the story, because if you take the case of someone like Crocodile who was able to drain water from people's bodies, Luffy himself fell victim to this. The situation was not Crocodile actually converting Luffy's body into sand or giving Luffy's body sand-like properties, but then absorbing water, since sand can absorb water from the other devil fruit user's body. But in this case, Luffy is actually imbuing Kaido's body with rubber-like abilities. This is a little bit surprising since we've not seen this type of abilities displayed in the story before. Luffy came out of Kaido's eyes, and this was quite shocking because at that point I felt like Kaido must have been blind, but since Kaido could still see, I am suggesting that Luffy probably imbued Kaido's body with rubber-like properties, enabling him to come out anywhere he wanted, and the eyes were just the part he chose to come out from. After which Luffy became literally a giant, and at this point I was quite intrigued because I have never seen Luffy become a giant before. In fact, even when Luffy ate the biscuits from Cracker, he still did not become a giant. What he actually became, which ensued to become Tank Man was a result of him consuming way too many biscuits, but in this case Luffy became a very big giant. I don't know whether this is because of his diet 3 abilities, or whether this is just Luffy being creative in using his devil fruit. Certainly this chapter was utilized by Oda to sell Luffy's gear fit as a very diverse and dynamic transformation. The abilities displayed were so varied that it was very difficult for Kaido to come up with strategies to block Luffy's insane attacks in this battle. But then I still prop Kaido up because he was still able to land in a couple of hits here and there, and that is actually what I wanted to see, because I would have loved for this fight to be a close fight and not, of course, Luffy overpowering Kaido. It still shows us that Kaido is still good enough to withstand most of Luffy's attacks. So what ensued was quite intriguing because Kaido fired a borrow bread and it caught Luffy. But then Luffy ran on air. This is another thing that Luffy has not done before. Ran on air, leaving a flame mark, which was actually quite comical, and I think that this ties pretty much well to his Sun God Nika persona, because we said that Sun God Nika Sun God Nika has an inherent ability to put smiles on people's faces. So the diverse yet comical way in which he fights is actually one of the ways I think Sun God Nika imbues smiles on the faces of others. So what ensued was also intriguing because Luffy ran to Kaido and got clobbered. And after getting clobbered, his head actually sank into the dome of the skull, and everyone saw it and their reactions were quite funny. I think we've actually had a lot of eye reactions in One Piece, but this is the first time we actually see this type of eye reactions. I mean, the comic aspect of this chapter was on a whole different level. I think Oda got inspired by the Looney Tunes and certainly caught the hearts of many kids who will be reading this chapter and wondering what Luffy is doing. Finally, Luffy returns and began to fight Kaido once more. Despite the fact that Kaido was able to land a couple of hits here in here out, Luffy was still strong enough and capable enough to overcome and withstand the damage he was receiving. At some point he even lost his transformation, and people have been speculating that this transformation could actually lead to Luffy's death, which I think is just ridiculous. But then he was still able to get back up, and finally, using his creativity, was able to land a couple of hits on Kaido. The final one being very intriguing because we already saw Luffy utilize this same ability, which is imbuing Kaido's body with properties, but this time Kaido was trying to block his attack, but then he couldn't, and it seemed as if Luffy's hand actually entered into his face and came out. I still think what Luffy is doing here is simply imbuing Kaido's body with rubber-like properties and then bypassing his defenses and hitting him. Kaido himself confirmed that Luffy was arming himself with armament and Conqueror's Haki, so those hits must hurt, and we know that Kaido has taken considerable amounts of damage. So I think that this battle is about to wrap up. Luffy's final statement pretty much explained this, saying that he's having the fun of his life at this moment. So I do believe that Kaido might still have an ace under his sleeve. I do believe that this fight is not yet over, but then we all know Luffy is going to stand tall and defeat Kaido once and for all, because the stakes now are very high. Onigashima is pretty close to the flower capital and many people are in danger. So the earlier Luffy takes down Kaido and Momo is able to come up with a way to stop the island from falling on the flower capital, the better. And I would really love to see what Zunisha has in store. Will it help Momo? There are so many plot holes that Oda has left that he still needs to fill before the conclusion of this arc. So let me know your thoughts about this chapter in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm your host Sean, and this is goodbye.